Hello, everyone.
Hey, you guys. I'm Cynthia Wheeler. I'm a grad assistant in the Office of the Dean of the Chapel.
And I'm Erica Middleton. I'm a graduate assistant in the Office of the Dean of the Chapel as well. We are so
Are
excited tonight.
oh my God, so excited for tonight. This is going to be an excellent conversation, right, Erica?
Absolutely.
We Communal Conversations, a Bison Rite of Passage. Tonight we have an ASB takeover, and these students are going to talk about ASB. Today was the first day. They just got started, but they've already just had a full experience. Okay, so we are going to get to talk to them about ASB. We get to talk to them about last year, about this year, and just how they're experiencing this, and why service is just so important to Howard. So again, we have a wonderful panel. Get your questions ready, and let's go ahead and meet our students.
Hi everyone, my name is Pan Shimboot. I'm a junior clinical laboratory science major from Northern Virginia. I serve as the digital content creator for ASB, and my mission is to inspire others to give back to their community.
Hey everyone, my name is Oluwatobi Moji Balogun. I go by Toby. I am a senior economics major, math minor from the Bronx, New York, and my mission is to help give people the tools to be able to liberate themselves. And I serve as a site coordinator for the Bronx AXB site.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Montgomery. I am a graduating senior political science and sociology double major, legal communications minor from Chino Hills, Chino Hills, California. I serve as the executive student director for Alternative Spring Break this year, and my mission in life is to lead, serve, and inspire everyone I cross paths with.
Hi, everyone. My name is Malik Morrison. I am a senior finance major from Kingston, Jamaica, and I have the pleasure of serving as the site coordinator for Kingston, Jamaica, and Camden, New Jersey. And my mission is to use my gifts to improve the self-worth and wealth of young men across the world.
Hello. My name is Tori Lane. I'm a sophomore radiation therapy major, chemistry and Spanish double minor from Philly, and I serve as one of the events coordinators for ASB this year. And my mission is to give back in any way I can to help others and be an advocate for the underserved.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brianna Smith, and I am a graduating senior computer information systems major from Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. And this year I have the pleasure of serving as a co-director of the database. And my mission is to increase computer literacy among minority communities.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jalen Giroud. I'm a junior psychology major, painting minor from Denver, Colorado. This year, I'm serving as the public relations director for ASB, and my mission is to always help in any capacity I can at any moment I can.
Wow. Thank you, everyone. These are some great and powerful missions. I'm just so glad to be here with you all tonight. Me and Cynthia are ready to get into a great conversation, but I'd like to open the space in a word of prayer. So if everybody could get in the prayer posture, that's right with them. God of mercy, God of justice, God of grace, we come to you today, thanking you and knowing that we have an amazing night ahead of us. On this International Women's Day, we thank you for allowing us to have a university that has had so many great women come through its doors. And we're so thankful for the legacy of service that this institution has provided. We thank you for our leadership in this institution. We thank you for the Office of the Dean of the Chapel, and we thank you for continuing to be with us as we help serve our communities in different ways. Continue to be with us tonight and speak through all of us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, you guys, we're going to get right into the conversation tonight. We have a lot of questions, and we know that the audience is going to have a lot of questions. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. Before we ask our first question, I will say, audience, go ahead in the comment section, tell us where you're watching from. If you're doing ASB today, this week, please drop us in the comments. Let us know where your site is. We want to know. We want to know where you're watching from. And if any of your site coordinators are up here, of course. But, first question. We all talked before the show a little bit about how you all's day has been going. And so I want to know, first day of ASB, first time doing ASB virtually. What is different about this year? What's the same about this year? Like, what's going on? Just let us know. And I'll go ahead. I'll start with Sydney, actually, Miss Executive Director.
Saw that coming. Okay. Well, I think with ASB in general, there's always just kind of like this aura and this feeling that goes inside your body. Like, okay, ASB is tomorrow. Me last night, I was like, wow, ASB is tomorrow. I felt like we were physically, going to travel. I feel like that anticipation, that, kind of anxiousness is still the same. But also I was just really excited to see how this virtual experience would turn out. And so far, I am blown away by just some of the amazing stories and the amazing students who have shared these stories just today alone. And so, of course, like any ASB, it's always going to be busy and hectic, but I think the reward is so great. Just being able to physically serve these communities, meet new people, experience different cultures and different dynamics that we may not experience on a regular basis in general. So I just think I am, of course, very proud of ASB, and it's just day one. So, I know I'm going to have more to say by the end of this week.
Absolutely. Can I hear from Malik?
Yeah, sure. So, when planning for ASB this year, going into it as a coordinator, I just thought, since the beginning of the pandemic, my thing is anything that I'm doing, I don't want it to feel like just another Zoom call. And so in crafting that, I wanted to create the same experience that the students would have in person, but just like have them understand that you're just doing it through a screen. And so we have, worked to create the same interactions that we would have, with students in the classroom, with one-on-one mentorship and interactions. But, the difference is just that it's we're doing it through a computer screen. That brings its challenges because, trying to meet somebody, through a screen, it has that extra layer of breaking down the walls so that people can be comfortable in sharing and start expressing themselves. But I think our students have the tools that they need, and we have spent time in preparing them for that. And of course, being that my side is predominantly working with students in Jamaica, there is that added layer of breaking that cultural barrier and trying to connect with the students. But I definitely think that today being day one, our students did a great job, and we are so excited for the rest of the week and what we can accomplish.
Wow, that's absolutely exciting, Malik. And I like how you brought up how you wanted to make this experience still connect and still be able to be with this, not feel like it's just another Zoom call, because that's such a thing. I know we have Zoom fatigue and all these other things going around right now, but to piggyback off of that, kind of how have you had to be open and flexible during this period? Because I know that's one of the mottos here at ASB, having to be open and flexible. How have you had to do that in a virtual space so that we have a great and successful year at ASB? I'll start off with Toby.
Yeah, like Erica really hit it on the head. Like, open and flexible is one of the mottos of ASB. It's part of the experience, and I feel like every time, every part of every experience I've had in person, previous, something didn't go to plan, and we had to improvise, we had to figure it out in order to make sure that our mission was still completed, and that's something I even shared with my participants, because, today not everything was smooth sailing always. We had some technical difficulties, we had some miscommunications. However, everybody had that positive mindset. Everybody, improvised, and they were able to, move forward. Another motto that we have is "It's not about you," and I think that's something that really all our participants really internalized without even you didn't even have to tell them, but they internalized it. I think that's just the way how our students are, but they were able to, be resilient and endure through some of the challenges. And then we were able to get some service done and even come together closer as like an ASB family, which is something, I had a little bit of anxiety about, but it kind of shows the power of ASB that even in a virtual space, we were able to come together and create that community that I think will last for a long time.
Wow, that's so important. Still being able to build these bonds, build this community. I kind of just have a question about that. How has that experience been building community in the virtual space for ASB? Can I pass that to Tori?
Sure, definitely. First with, meeting with the steering committee like every Tuesday, it built that bond in between all of us, seeing each other at the same time every Tuesday. And even with the events team, because there's only 3 of us. So, we had to get our events together, and just the 3 of us together, like we have a little group chat and like family thing. And, we have meetings outside of our steering committee meetings and talk like that. So I think, seeing each other a lot, especially since it was my first day today, and then we didn't get to really do what we plan to do. I hope tomorrow, like with the students and everything like that, we're able to still have that bond of talking about Howard and talking about different things that we can build a bond with them too.
Wow, that's great.
Yes. I want to go back a little bit to something that Toby mentioned. You said, with being open and flexible, you said that everyone improvised. And as we're talking about being open and flexible, as we're talking about all these things that are going on, I think that it's really important that we make it clear that ASB is really a student-led project. When we're saying that people are being open and flexible, people are improvising, this is not the chapel staff, this is the students. So Pon, can you talk about what the importance is of having a student focused and a student led project, the scale of ASB?
So yeah, student-led work is one of the biggest service organizations on this campus, and to know that it's student-led, I feel like it just shows how resilient and how deep service is rooted into Howard's campus. Like it's all over campus, everywhere. So it's just amazing to see that such a impactful organization can be led by the students on campus.
Absolutely. Brianna, can you hop in on that as well?
Yes. So I just want to really emphasize and then thank all of my co-steering committee members for making this a successful ASB, because it is my last ASB, unfortunately. And I was a little nervous, coming off of last year. I really don't even want to talk about last year, but it was just very emotional. So for us to be able to take our experience from ASB 2020 and bring that into ASB 2021 just as strong as ever, it really warms my heart. And I'm so thankful to be able to work with amazing student leaders on campus, because it really isn't about us. It's about making sure that we can provide a great service learning experience for the rest of the student body, and then take our students and impact the communities across the nation and the world. So I'm just very proud of everyone this year.
Absolutely. And Malik, you look like you want to jump in.
Yeah, I just think the fact that this organization or this program is student-led is very powerful. It really, resonated with me when I was talking with one of my team leaders this past weekend. It's first time doing ASB in a virtual space. She was expressing to me it's her first time ever doing any service project of this magnitude. And she said, I didn't expect coming into this that I would have been dealt such a great deal of responsibility in actually preparing, something to serve people. And I just think that is so amazing that we, actually have an opportunity to create a program that's going to impact the lives of people. And many times we come into it and, oh, we're here for the trip. We're here, just to get, probably some people are here just to get some community service hours. But, when you actually get into it and really realize the work that you're doing and how much responsibility you get, even as a participant, sometimes, at your own sites, you have to take the initiative to, step up and speak, and share. So, it's definitely awesome, and it's something that is really impacting our lives and building us as leaders.
Wow, I really like how you said that. This is absolutely impactful work that you all are doing. And I hope you all understand that as servant leaders, you guys are making changes that are just so important within our communities. I want to go back to something that Pon had actually said. She talked about how service is rooted in who we are at Howard University. I just want to ask Jalen, how has service been an integral part of you as a Bison? I know you're a junior, and I know we have some seniors, some sophomores. How has service really just kind of taken root in your life?
Honestly, I've been doing ASB since my freshman year. When I first got on campus, that was one of the first things that a security guard said to me. I was on my way to my pinning ceremony, and he stopped me, and he was like, "Are you a freshman?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Okay, just remember ASB, ASB." And I was like, "Okay." And then I went to ASB week my freshman year and fell in love. I never looked back. So ever since then, I've been looking for every opportunity to serve under the chapel. We do day of service. Love that. Always participated in that. And it's really helped me get in contact with the DC community, and of course with Alternative Spring Break, the wider community, and just feel like I'm able to find kind of my purpose in helping people, networking with people, communicating with people just everywhere. And it makes me feel like I'm serving, and that's what, we're in truth and service. That's what we're here to do. So, and it's also beautiful to be surrounded by people who are like-minded, who want to go out into communities and help people and, pour back into the community that's been giving to us, and see where we can help and what we need to help with.
Wow, that's just such an amazing answer. I definitely believe that ASB, the freshmen are learning about it. The seniors are hopefully have done it before. So I'm just so excited that, you had that experience even coming into Howard as a first year student. How about you, Toby? How has being ASB, I know you're a senior now, how has your journey in ASB and service been at Howard?
Something that Dr. Carr always says is that, that we walk amongst ghosts. And it's and what he's trying to say is that there's a tradition, that we kind of carry in when we step on Howard's campus. There's a tradition. So I remember when I was actually working on creating my site, I talked to a gentleman who was a former freedom rider. And when I mentioned, I'm from Howard, he goes, "Wow, back when I was doing the freedom rides, I was with Hank Thomas. I was with, he called him Stokely Carmichael because he knows him personally, but Kwame Ture, there's a tradition of people who do this work." And I felt when I stepped into campus, it's important to me. For me, my friend, who graduated last year, she went to Flint my senior year. I remember seeing it on Facebook, and I was like, wow, I have to do this. So even before I got to Howard, I knew I needed to do ASB. I did day of service, my freshman year. So it's just an important thing. It was a big part of what made me proud to say, okay, I'm a Bison. So I've done ASB every year since my freshman year, and I had the privilege to serve as co-student director for day of service this past summer. So this is something that's very important to me.
I love this because you guys are really getting at the heart of it, which is that it's really necessary for Howard students to do this. This is an opportunity that you really cannot come through Howard and pass up. We unfortunately have to take a little break, but once we take this break, I'm excited to get back to asking these students questions. Please, if you're in the audience, throw some questions in the chat. If you have some for these students, we will definitely ask them after the break. Before our break, we are going to watch a clip from the ASB docuseries. Please, please, please watch. And if you haven't, go back on YouTube and watch it. Yes, Toby, shout out. Toby, you can say what you're gonna.
I just want to shout out Pon, because Pon did a great job putting it together, editing, it was so great. It really captured what happened. So I hope you guys enjoy it the same way I did.
We have ourselves a pandemic. The World Health Organization says the global coronavirus outbreak has reached pandemic status.
The NBA is suspending the season. I say that understanding that as we speak, the game in Dallas is continuing.
American, Howard, University of Maryland, Georgetown are among the area's universities shifting to online coursework and limiting access to campus.
I want to thank you all for, I've been around ASB this now for my 4th year. So you all really made this time for me amazing. I really grown. I know sometimes I can be a little serious, but that's just how much I care about this program. To continue to show the world, to show how university that you care, that you truly serve, you truly are servant leaders. I want you all to know and take every lesson that we have had every day, everything that you've built, every call you've made, every person you've contacted. Just know that was a community that you were trying to touch. That was community you were trying to outreach. And every single person on this committee, you played a part in this. You really did.
So with that, we just want to let everybody know. I know we kind of have it in our vibes and have it in our auras, but at this time, the decision has been made by our wonderful administrators and the people who support us through this program, and also leaders from the president's office, that ASB will not continue in its traditional capacity this year.
Something significant for you, for all of us here, and we have to figure this out, and somehow we will. So you should be proud of what you've done, tell your story. I want to thank you, the staff wants to thank you for all the tremendous work that you've done and will do. I just want you to do something for me, so just be in silence just for a moment. And I want you to, as difficult as this moment is, close your eyes and just capture this moment just for a second. And I want you to think about somebody else other than yourself, and just, as Joseph said, give them love, something, and support them, because it's so important that you support each other in this moment. And then ask the question.
Wow.
That clip, it continues to give me chills, you guys. I'm gonna be honest. I know, Brianna, you said you did not want to talk about last year, but we can't talk about 2021. We can't talk about ASB 2021 without talking about the transition from last year's ASB to this year's ASB. And so something that Dean Richardson said in that clip really stuck out to me. And obviously it's why you all or at least partly why you created the docuseries. I want to know what it's like. I know that you all already document, ASB, but what was it like then to now document that in, for the world to see, and to do it in a docuseries? Talk to us about what it meant to tell your story, and to do what Dean asked in that, and to be able to tell your story through a docuseries. And let's go ahead and we'll start with the editor, Pon.
So I knew that we wanted to tell our story, and I knew I was gonna have to take on the honor and the also pressure of telling our story. And I was really thinking about, okay, so how do I want to do this? How do I want to get our message across? Am I going to do everybody on the committee justice? Because I didn't want to just put some clips together and not tell the full story. So I just hope that I did do everybody justice, and that I got our point across and I told our story to the best of my ability.
I love that. And so far it looks, I think you're doing an amazing job. And Brianna, I'm sorry. I know that you said you don't want to talk, but I want to ask you, what is it like for you?
Actually, that's a great question, because I was not there. I was actually off campus because I had been up the previous night. I did not go to sleep that night, just trying to get the last minute things together. So I was actually at Walmart shopping for my trip when I got a phone call from one of my friends, Maya, and she just told me to listen, and I stopped what I was doing at Walmart and I cried. But yeah, so that's just it was just a very tough moment to think that all the work that we had put into it, it just didn't happen. But that while that was a low for us, it wasn't the end, because at the end of the day, we were going to complete service projects in various locations. So while this may have been, a sad time for us, it was probably much worse for the people that we were going to impact, especially considering this situation that was at hand. So I just think that from that, we have grown and we have continued. The service continues, which is what's on the back of these shirts, which was unknowingly a good motto at the time. But yes, so I'm just it kind of warms my heart to see that video at this point, because, we're over the hump and we're continuing past that point. So, yeah.
I love that. It was a low, but it was not the end for sure. I mean, that's you guys. I want to also highlight Dean Richardson is watching you all tonight. I know Dean Richardson is proud. He left us a comment. ASB students are history makers. It is true today as it was for the first ASB, and it will be true tomorrow. We already know that that's the case. Does anybody else want to get in on that question?
Okay. Oh, I just wanted to say, for me, I think one of the highs of that very low point, which kind of seems oxymoronic, but was just kind of seeing how we came together as an ASB family. I remember when we discussed it as a meeting, I said I'm not a crier at all. That's just not me. I'm not a crier. I don't remember the last time I cried except for that moment. And there was a certain comfort and vulnerability I felt that I can be safe with y'all in order to share these emotions with y'all very raw. So I think that's why we were able to kind of pull this off this year, because that family, that closeness. Even the people who graduated, the people who aren't on the committee, they still showed us support, gave us power. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Toby, I'll kind of jump in after you. I think it's that aspect of family that you just mentioned is really, really important. I remember that day was just, I think we can all agree, it just wasn't a good day. I felt like there was a lot of things beginning to go wrong. And we just kind of felt it kind of in our spirit that, it just wasn't going to be. But what we did was we turned that, I'm going to call it a little trauma / tragedy. Some of it is traumatic. But we were able to kind of flip the script, because if you guys do remember, it was also very hectic for the university. If you guys remember, we also realized we had to move out that same week. I'm not sure if you guys remember that from last year. So what we did was we were all able to come together as a team, and we were able to help people move out. So I think it was just really, really important to understand that in this moment, it hurt. In that moment, it really did hurt. But we had to move forward, but we moved forward together, and we ended up turning it into something super duper positive. So I think that was one of the better results from that week.
Absolutely, Sydney. I know, as it's been stated before, that was just such a difficult, really difficult day, but, being able to make something constructive out of it and being able to have the resilience in that moment to continue on and still serve our Howard community is just so important. And I really commend you all for the work you did last year and the work that you continue to do this year, because it's just so important. But at this point, I'd like to read an audience question from, I believe, Desiree Parker. Let's see. For when it's Q&A time, okay. What is the most impactful ASB, your most impactful ASB memory? That's kind of a fun one. Let's ask that to Jalen.
I would love to answer this. So I was able to travel to Puerto Rico my freshman year with ASB, and we were down there for a week and a couple days, and it was incredible. And the initiative we were serving under was restoration. So we worked with like the people who had been victims of Hurricane Maria. So we were working at schools, and then we also volunteered at the Boys and Girls Club. And my most impactful memory from my trip to Puerto Rico was volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club, because Puerto Rico is a Spanish-speaking country, so I'm not quite bilingual, working on it. And so, like the kids are trying to talk to us, and there was a language barrier there, but we were still able to communicate like in different ways, non-verbally, and we were like playing with them, and they were running us all over their Boys and Girls Club, and we just had like the most beautiful day. Every time we got to go volunteer with them, and then on the last day, like when we had to leave and we didn't see them again, like it was just like I realized how much I love being around kids, and I realized how much I love being around Howard students who love helping and just volunteering. And so, yeah, that day like sticks to my heart, because I still go back and look at the photos and the videos I have with those kids, and I miss them, and I hope they're okay, and I hope they're doing good. And I want to go back. So.
Oh, thank you for sharing. That's such a warm memory that you shared with us. Thank you for that. How about you, Tori? What's one of your most impactful ASB memories?
Well, I am a sophomore, so unfortunately, last year when ASB got canceled, I wasn't able to go, but I found out, like we were talking about earlier, I was actually just came back home from Target buying my little sleeping bag and my little snacks for the road, because we were driving up to Flint, and I was just like, wow, like all my Bowling three sisters, like we were all just so upset about not being able to go. But besides the point, I feel like tomorrow and Wednesday, I'm able to really I'm excited to serve the Chicago community in the schools, because I think it's very important to educate people about going to college and making college obtainable. So I'm really looking forward to that, because for me, I was not encouraged to go to college. So I feel as though, and I made it here and I'm doing well. And I just want to help others, to motivate them to go to college and know that they're able to do it. And it's not just some distant fantasy, but they can make it realistic for them. So I'm excited to do that.
Wow, I'm so excited that you're excited too, because the service continues and you guys are still just doing it, and Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be great for you all. I think we have time for maybe just one more final question, and then we can wrap this up a little bit. Let's see.
Well, for one more question before we really get wrapped up, let me see. Do we have any? I'm going to look in the chat, you all, and see if we have any more questions. Okay, we do have a question. Why is ASB important to Howard and the world? I want you all, just somebody jump in, because I know all of y'all have an answer for that. So somebody can jump in. Malik, you look ready.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share on that, especially because this year I had the opportunity to coordinate Jamaica, and just before coming over on this call, I was doing a debrief with one of our sites, just talking to them, hearing their experiences and them sharing their Jamaican experience with our Howard students. And, just being on the call, even though I'm a Jamaican, I was learning so much about my own history, and, learning how, even though we're different countries located in different, spaces of the world, there are so many things that connect us. And so our experiences are the same. And just to give a bit of context to that specific organization, they work on, preventing the stigma of paternal absenteeism in Jamaica. And we know this is something that's just prevalent in the Black community as a whole. And so having the opportunity to bring, these different perspectives together, the perspective of a Howard student living in America, and then, the perspective of people in Jamaica who are, facing this. We have a story, we have a voice in issues that are facing Black people, not just in the US, but around the world. And by, lending that voice to these issues, ASB can impact and is impacting the world globally. Howard in and of itself, once that name gets attached to anything, we can see the impact that it has. And so, yeah.
I love that. I love that point. Like you said, it's your history, but you still had a chance to learn. I just love that. Sydney, you look like you're about to jump in.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to kind of add on to that. Malik is right in the fact that Howard, but also ASB is a national and international program. So, that's one thing. You heard Jalen talking about Puerto Rico as well. So I think part of that, being able to connect with all these different communities across the world, definitely shows you something about Howard students. And it shows you the will and the strength to not only give up your spring break, to be able to connect and serve a community in need, but it also shows you the type of student and the type of leader that you are. With Howard, our motto is truth and service, as everybody knows. And so Howard students have always been at the forefront of so many different things, so many different movements. And so has ASB. I think that's fair to say. So has Alternative Spring Break, with so many different things, whether it's a national disaster or social unrest, ASB is there to respond. And so I think that's why ASB is so important to not only just the Howard community, but of course, the world at large.
Yeah, and last but not least on this question, can we get Toby?
Yeah, I feel like in order to kind of epitomize it, I have two stories. So the first story is to be quick. So first story, sophomore year, ASB Birmingham. So we go to Firehouse Ministries and we're helping with food pantry. So we're serving homeless men. So we had just gone to the museum and then we raided the gift shop, people got t-shirts, whatnot. So I'm going around because I'm team leader. I'm trying to, coordinate. So then we get back for reflections and one of my participants telling me a story. She says, one of the homeless men came up to her and said, "Oh, I like your t-shirt, just casual." So she took the shirt off her back and gave it to him. And I think moments like that kind of epitomize what ASB is. Not only did it impact that man, but also impacted her, and it showed kind of the importance, of what we do. Another kind of story is just, I remember I was talking after ASB to one of my members of my BHAM fam, and she was just saying, she was a freshman at the time, she was just like, I didn't really have that many friends at Howard, very close friends, and I felt very lonely. And it was only until ASB that I really was able to find a group of people who, who are like-minded, who have certain principles, that we were able to, have a connection. So I didn't feel so lonely anymore. So I think that really shows, because the same thing happened for me in certain ways. I was able to find a family in a way through ASB. So shout out to PA gang, shout out to BHAM fam, shout out to the Memphis Mafia too. Yeah, shout out to BX gang too.
That's amazing. I love how you all continue to build families and connections with each other and have, kind of had those carry over through years, and how, this really just epitomizes and just says the work that we do here at Howard. It's so important. But unfortunately, we're almost out of time tonight. We just have one more final question to just kind of wrap it up and put it in a nice bow. So our final question is just one word. How would you describe ASB and what it means to you? Let's start with Pon.
So the first and really the only thing that comes to mind is family. And I've always felt at home, and I've always felt like I belonged when I'm in the basement of Carnegie, when it's 3 a.m. and we're delirious and ready to go, but we're always there for each other. We're always there supporting each other. And no matter if you're on public relations or psych coordinators, we're always there to help each other. And that you can't find any other place like it.
No place like it. How about you, Toby? What's one word that ASB is to you?
Selfless, and I think it speaks for itself, like I said earlier, one of our mottos is it's not about you, so it speaks for itself, selfless.
Tori?
I would say support, just like Pon touched on a little bit, but we all here to support each other and pick up the pieces that someone dropped and make it all happen. So support.
Malik?
I'd say impactful, both to the people that we serve and just how it impacts our lives.
Sydney?
I'm going to cheat and use 2 words. Servant leadership. Put that together if you want to make it 1 word. But I say that just because, as you all mentioned before, we are student ran, student led. And so students are taking the time out of their schedules, out of their lives, in addition to school, in addition to all the other things that we're all wrapped up in. And I think it's just really powerful. And I think Dean Richardson says it the best. There's a quote by Benjamin E. Mays, don't seek greatness, seek to serve. And when you seek to serve, you'll bump into greatness along the way. And I think we all encapsulate that in some way, shape, or form, not only on the steering committee, but every member, every team leader, every participant who's ever done Howard University Alternative Spring Break.
Wow. How about you, Jalen?
I would definitely have to say unwavering. Through it all, we've always persevered. We've been persistent because ASB is something that we love and something that's near and dear to every single one of our hearts. So we've always pushed through.
That's great. And Brianna, last but not least.
Yes, my word is a little different, but ASB is free. So I want to plug all the people who have never participated in ASB, who are thinking about coming to Howard, freshmen, sophomores, everyone. ASB is free. So all these trips that we've talked about, students don't have to pay for anything. So know that.
Okay. Just Erica, you already know what I'm gonna say.
No, go ahead, Cynthia.
All of you all, okay, on this screen, in service all week. Thank you so much. Thank you to these students. I'm sorry, and usually I know we go through the audience and stuff first. Thank you to these students. Thank you, Pon, Toby, Tori, Malik, Sydney, Jalen, and Brianna. You all are amazing. You are so insightful. And tonight, as per usual, is one of my favorite nights. Okay, because you all get that way. Thank you to the audience for sticking with us, for asking questions, for showing these students so much love because they deserve every single ounce and more. Thank you to the chapel staff who support us, especially Mr. Diller, who is our producer behind the screen. You just can't see him, but he is there every other May is the program that it is. Thank you to Dean Richardson for his support of this program and for his support of these students. He just makes sure that we are always centering student experiences. And as he has stated himself, ASB is only as successful as it is because of the way that the students are really at the center of this. So we are just so excited. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We cannot wait to see you in 2 weeks in another installment of Communal Conversations. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much. Our history makers.
ASB 2020 is now the 26th year, and the students who are running it are probably now younger than the program has been, and that says a lot about our legacy here at Howard University. How and why did you get involved?
I had friends who had done ASB before, who were currently on the steering committee, and I was like, how do I be a part of that? This is something that I know I want to be a part of. And at the time, they were accepting applications for freshman interns. So I applied, and I got accepted to be a public relations intern.
So yeah, my first time doing ASB was back my junior year of undergrad, so 2015. At that time, I think we had maybe 10 sites. Yeah, I think we had 10 sites at that time, and we could still meet in chapel. Like, we were meeting in the chapel. We didn't even think about going to Crampton because we didn't have that many people. You could go to chapel and still have a whole row to yourself. But like now, ASB, over 1,000 people, 1,100 people, like, it's grown so much as far as like the size people wanting to do it, the number of people that it's touched, and it's grown so much that people are coming to Howard saying that, oh, I'm here because I talked to somebody that was on ASB, and that's why I want to do it. And like people are coming in their freshman year wanting to do it. Before it used to be like, you saw a couple freshmen, but it was more so like your juniors, seniors that were doing it. So now it's a beautiful thing, honestly, just watching how the program has grown.
The biggest way I would say has shaped me to being a leader is just taking me out of my comfort zone with like planning sites. Like I'm talking to people constantly, and I'm even talking to like big people. Like I'm hitting up the mayor of cities, I'm hitting up superintendents, I'm hitting up like congressmen and everything. And so before, like freshman year Clara could never do that. Absolutely not. Freshman year Clara would be like, you must got the wrong person because it's not me.
So I think alternative spring break has definitely helped me find my place as a student leader in general, especially with the Office of the Dean of the Chapel here at Howard University. This entire space is dedicated to be service learning. And so we often say that ASB is a learning lab, but oftentimes we're just kind of like, okay, what does that really mean? It means that you're hands-on. Some days you're in the trenches. Some days, you know, it's not going to be easy. Some days it's going to be as difficult as to where you want to quit and you're telling yourself like, nah, this isn't for me anymore. But I think what's so empowering about ASB in particular is because I'm surrounded by so many like-minded individuals. And I think part of the process of alternative spring break is that we spend the late nights in Carnegie. I guess tonight is one of those nights that we're probably going to be here until 4 a.m. But hey, you know, hopefully you don't have an 8 a.m. But part of that is making sure that we do our part to make sure that you all as students and as faculty and as safety liaisons and other people supporting us throughout our entire journey for alternative spring break can really see the fruits of your labor and what it really takes in order to make this trip happen. And oftentimes we talk about what we don't see. And so this right here, these are the things that you don't see.